Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to another episode of MC Commute. You guys know the deal. Today we're going to be riding to the motorcyclist office in Southern California on Moto Guzzi's V85 TT Adventure. This episode of MC Commute is brought to you by First Gear. On today's ride, I'm wearing the First Gear ADV Air Jacket and Airspeed Textile Glove. If you want to know more about these products, please visit the links inside the description of this video. Now let's throw the helmet on and go for a ride. Here it is, guys, Moto Guzzi's V85 TT Adventure. This is Moto Guzzi's middleweight packaged sport touring, ADV touring, light off-road positioned road-going street bike. So all new model from Moto Guzzi. Really like the styling of this thing. Moto Guzzi has a history of racing and competition in the Paris-Dakar race and other European off-roads and other off-road races throughout the world. And they styled this motorcycle like the original machines from the old days. Really like the position of the headlight, the angular front fender, the way Moto Guzzi incorporated its signature and sculpted tank, the way that engine pokes out, the cylinders on either side of the V-twin poke out the sides. Very nice looking motorcycle and a mix of new and old. Really appreciate that Moto Guzzi paid attention to the little details. Look at that perforated suede seat. Look at the fine paint. The fit and finish is rather high. This is a very nice motorcycle. But enough talking about it. Let's hop on it and see what it's like to ride. Alright guys, here we are on the Moto Guzzi V85 TT Adventure. Got a little perspiration in the air. Looks like it's gonna rain, but not quite. What do you guys think of the engine sound? And away we go. Right away, getting on this bike, the ergonomics are very pleasant. I like how wide the handlebar is. Handlebar is nice and wide, gives you a very commanding position when you're sitting on it. The sweep is a little bit. It's not so much the sweep, but the bars are rolled back a little bit. But you could loosen this top clamp up and roll the bars a little bit forward if you like. But to be fair, that rolled back position is really nice for the street. It just makes it a more comfortable ride. If you were riding perhaps off-road, you could maybe shift the bars forward a little bit, and that would give you a little bit more commanding position when you're standing or riding off-road. But for street use, I like the way these bars are positioned. Oh, we got a little detour up here, guys. Sorry. I'm gonna take a little detour right now. Hope no one minds. So very comfortable bars. Seat on this motorcycle is nice and wide and deep. Talked about that perforated suede finish on the seat cover. Looks very nice. It's also very plush on your rear end. Alright, we got bags. It's going to be a little bit dicey splitting traffic with these big bags, but let's just see what she's got. This is the Adventure motorcycle, so it comes with the bags for an extra $1,000. For that extra $1,000, you also get Michelin Anarchy tires as opposed to the Metzler shoes that come on the standard V85 TT. So having that extra bit of hard luggage poking out from either side is going to compromise your lane splitting abilities a little bit. But fortunately we have hand guards, so if we bump into some cars, our control levers are going to be protected. I like hand guards. They offer a little bit of protection. They also keep your mitts warm when it's a little cool and damp like it is today. And away we go, guys. The V85 TT is powered by 853cc 90-degree V-twin. But this isn't an ordinary V-twin. This V-twin is positioned perpendicularly to the wheels. So instead of the engine being mounted in parallel, like pretty much every other motorcycle known to man, Moto Guzzi does it differently. Why do they do it differently? Well, because they always have, and because it's cool. Physically, it can make for a shorter motorcycle or a shorter engine front to back, but then you have to have these cylinders popping out from either side. But it looks cool. It cools them in the wind more efficiently because they're just sitting in the air. You gotta remember, this is an air-cooled engine. There's no radiator or water cooling. And that engine configuration gives this bike a unique character. When you give it throttle, the engine actually pivots, which is kind of weird, but also kind of fun. So realistically, performance-wise, this engine configuration doesn't do it any help. It's just basically for cool looks and awesome character, because Moto Guzzi's always done that way, and it's neat that they offer something different compared to the competition. So Moto Guzzi claims this 853cc engine is the most advanced engine to come out of their factory to date. Even though it's not a 4-valve head, it's only a 2-valve head. The 2 intake valves are comprised out of titanium. And this engine has a very interesting character. It's a much more lively engine compared to every other Moto Guzzi I've ever ridden. Even the fantastic 8-valve Griso. I always liked that bike. I always liked that engine. But this engine actually has more response. Snappier on the throttle. Sounds cooler. The engine torque shift when you give it gas is not quite as severe as it was on that old bike, which I like. We put this thing on our dynometer and it pumped out 67 horsepower right at redline. This thing redlines at 8,000 RPM, and that's when it makes peak horsepower. 67 horsepower and 49 foot-pound of torque, right around 5,000 RPM peak torque. I know what you're thinking, oh, 67 horsepower, that's nothing. But this engine actually has quite a bit of get up and go. I'm actually surprised by how well it accelerates. Keep in mind, we're pushing 506 pounds of weight. This is no lightweight motorcycle. So even though the power numbers are nothing to surprise you, the engine actually has good power, good acceleration. Alright guys, we're riding on the bumpy surface street here, and the suspension's doing a very good job of filtering out the bumps and just soaking up the rough stuff. It's got an inverted fork up front, a direct mounted shock that mounts directly between the swing arm and frame out back. There's no linkage. The shock is super beefy though. If you look at the body, it's gigantic. This thing has 6.7 inches of wheel travel front and rear, so you got some good movement. There is adjustment. The front
spring offers preload adjustment here on the right. There's no preload adjustment on the left. I'm sure that was a cost savings factor right there. There's also rebound damping adjustment here on the right fork leg. Again, probably a cost savings manufacturing trick. And the fork springs and the shock spring are progressive rate springs. So they start off a little soft, and as you get deeper into the stroke, they firm up. This is one of the limiting factors of this adventure bike, is we just can't split lanes as well as we want. There we go. So the suspension works very well on this motorcycle for road use. You can tell though the diameter of the fork tubes, it's not super heavy duty. I wouldn't really recommend taking this bike off-road. The suspension, you can just tell physically it's not going to be up for big hits. But for road use, this is great. Give her the beans. I like this instrumentation panel, 4.3-inch color. This is the same instrument panel Aprilia uses on its RSV4 1100 sport bike. Looks nice. I like how the lights light up like a video game when you're approaching red line, just like the RSV4. Makes it feel more fun to ride. Display is pretty easy to read, but to be fair, the actual readout here is pretty compact. I mean, you have this huge dash display, and only 60% of it's being used to actually display stuff. The rest is just logos and other stuff. So it'd be nice if Moto Guzzi could literally stretch this display out and use the whole width of the display. Still, we've got a tachometer, gear position indicator, which I always like, speedometer. Can roll through the menu and lets you know what our average fuel economy is. I know it's low right now, but that's because I just reset it. It's actually 40 miles to a gallon, 43 miles a gallon is what we've been getting on this thing. And with its 6.1 gallon fuel tank, you'll have a range of over 200 miles. So it's nice that Moto Guzzi paid attention to the details and put a 6.1 gallon fuel tank on this thing. More fuel is always better. We always want to carry more fuel. It means we can stop less. This Guzzi is also equipped with ride-by-wire throttle. So there's one ride-by-wire control unit controlling the throttle body that feeds the two cylinders. Right now we're riding in road mode. If you push the starter button right here, you can switch into off-road mode, road mode, and rain mode. Now we're in rain mode. Rain mode obviously softens the power a little bit, as does off-road mode. Makes it a little bit more, makes the engine a little bit more easy to manage when the going gets rough or slick. But to be fair, the power and throttle response in standard road configuration is well calibrated and pretty gentile, that realistically I don't know why you'd ever want to use rain or off-road. But it's there if you want to. When you select off-road mode, it also disables rear ABS, so you'll have an easier time maneuvering the bike on the slick stuff with the rear brake. You can also configure some of the settings of the display, the language in the menu system here, which we'll probably have to do to turn the traction control off to do the wheelie test. Six-speed gearbox, cable actuated clutch, putting power back to a shaft drive. So instead of a chain final drive or a belt, this thing has a shaft drive. Very standard amongst Moto Guzzis. And the shaft drive basically reduces maintenance and makes for no mess. There's no grease fling or chain fling when you're from lubricating your chain. So it's a little bit heavier, but it's a less maintenance intensive setup. And for this apparatus, it works just fine. So here we are, 6th gear, 72 miles per hour, just a click over 4,000 RPM. This thing makes peak torque at 5,000 RPM, so we're 1,000 RPM lower than that. But to be fair, the torque curve on this isn't much of a curve, it's just flat. This thing's like a tractor. It just makes good immediate torque right off the bottom and makes it throughout its 8,000 RPM power band. It's a fun engine. I don't recall Moto Guzzi V-twins being this fun, but this one is. It's real playful. I love their throttle response. There is some engine vibration. I feel engine vibration through the foot pegs and through the grips here, but it's not excessive. Again, it makes the motorcycle fun to ride. This windscreen's pretty low for freeway use and road use. I mean, I'm getting blasted in the wind right now. There's no adjustment right here. It's fixed, but you can actually adjust the whole headlight and windscreen right here on the side. You do need a tool. It's maybe about 1.5 inches of adjustment. And that's going to be nice. You're going to want to basically move this thing all the way up all the time, and you're still going to need to fit an accessory windscreen on it because it's just too low. Also, we were riding this bike at night, and even though this thing has LED headlights, the position of the headlights in this low position is so low that you can't really see very far in front of you. So I would definitely recommend cranking this thing all the way to the max position and locking it there. That'll help with wind protection and give you a little bit better illumination on the road. Another neat thing about this bike is it's got a USB port right here, so you can plug in your phone, your doodads, and keep charged. Handling this motorcycle, it handles very well. Smooth, suspension supple. I do like the handling of this bike. Love the sound of it. Usually Moto Guzzis feel very tractory in their sound. They feel like old tractor engines that you'd use on a farm. And a little bit of that feeling is still present, but it's only a little bit now. Engine feels much more sprightly. There you have it, guys. We're almost to the motorcyclist's office. Overall, I do like this Moto Guzzi motorcycle. It's pretty comfortable. It's got pleasing character. It's been modernized well. It's not the most modern bike in the class, but it's not supposed to be. R1 dude in front of us. We got him. Forgot to mention this bike also has cruise control. So there we are, cruise control. It's precise cruise control. Hold your speed at exactly 56 miles per hour because this motorcycle is ride-by-wire. So all ride-by-wire equipped bikes have really precise cruise control now. Great feature. Oddly enough, this bike doesn't have heated grips though. Just kind of strange to me. I think a motorcycle in this class would have heated grips, but maybe it'll come in a future installment. Alright guys, here we are, motorcyclist's office. We've got to disable the traction control or else we're not going to do any wheelies, so let's do that real quick. Switch gear on the right here controls that. The tactile function of the switch gear isn't the best. It's a little sloppy feeling. MGCT, that's what Moto Guzzi calls its traction control. Let's try turning that off. There we go. We got it off. So the actual switch gear is a little sloppy feeling. They need to increase the tactile function on it, like other European brands that we've mentioned. Other than that, fit and finish is pretty good. Alright, let's see what she's got. Oh yeah, she wheelies, but it's kind of hard to wheelie it for whatever reason. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, that's all we got, man. 2 small little wheelies. I'm sure if we spent some more time on this thing, we could get her to wheelie pretty good. We got ABS, so there's no backing her in. Probably should have put it on off-road mode, but we'll do it next time. Here we are, guys. Back to our office here. Alright guys, there you have it. A quick MC commute on the Moto Guzzi V85 TT Adventure. Let's fire up the Instagram machine and get some Q&A going from the Instagram crew. Alright. Start from the top. Kelly and Bonnie asked, should Moto Guzzi make a version with big power to directly contend with some of the other bikes in the class? That's a great question. Yes, they probably should do that, but Moto Guzzi's not going to do that because they're not a performance positioned brand. It would take them way too much time and money to do something like that. And their sister company, Aprilia, would be more in that realm of performance. So they shouldn't do it because it would take way too much time, way too much money to do it. So we're just going to ride the Moto Guzzi the way it is. How much heat does the engine emit during a normal commute? Not very much. I mean, to be fair, it was rather cool out today, so any little bit of heat would have been a welcome thing. But it doesn't emit very much heat. Those cylinders sticking out in the air is a very good recipe for cooling, and I didn't think this bike had any excessive heat issues at all. Another great question. Is it all show or can you tour adventure? Is it all show or can you actually tour adventure on it? Well, you can definitely tour. I mean, especially with the adventure pack with those 3 metal cases, you can definitely load some stuff up on this bike and tour and go places. Riding off-road, I don't know. I don't think this bike would be so good at off-road. I mean, the fork is too puny. It's on a 17-inch wheel combo. Realistically, if you want to be riding off-road, you need a 21-18. That's it. If you don't have 21-18, you're wasting your time. So, for road touring, absolutely. For off-road touring, I would pick some other bike. One more question here, guys. TKSLL asks, is the power adequate for its weight and intended use? I would say so. I mean, for a 506-pound street bike, it moves pretty well. Wind protection is poor. The OEM windscreen's way too short, and the positioning system of the headlight windscreen is kind of silly. You need a tool, and there's not a lot of adjustment range. So Moto Guzzi could do better on that. Can you back it in? If you turn ABS off, you could back it in pretty well because it's got a long wheelbase and lots of decompression from the engine. All right, guys, that's it for Instagram Q&A. Now let's do Facebook. We don't want to forget our motorcyclist Facebook audience here. All right, here we go, guys. Clunky Facebook. Looks the part, doesn't feel like it when you sit on it. That's not a question. Let's get a good question here. How easy is routine maintenance? That's a great question. The shaft final drive greatly reduces maintenance. There's no chain to lubricate. There's no chain to adjust. Realistically, on this motorcycle, all you're going to be doing is oil and filter changes every so often. They're pretty reliable motorcycles, and they don't take a lot to keep running. They're pretty simple. Engine oil, filter, brake pads when you need it, tires obviously, and you're good to go. Well, guys, that is the conclusion of this MC Commute episode. Would I throw down the $12,990 to buy this motorcycle? I could, perhaps. I really do like the styling of it. I like the engine character. I like that Moto Guzzi stayed. They retained its classic heritage, but upgraded it just enough to make the bike feel modern and not old and clunky anymore. I do like that. But at the end of the day, this bike isn't the most high performance bike. It's still a little bit rudimentary in pure performance, which isn't bad. You know, if you're just a rider that's looking for something that's comfortable, fun to ride, easy to ride, sounds cool, looks cool, something different, something classic, but a little modern, I think this V85 TT Adventure would be a good light-duty adventure bike for you. Well, that's a wrap, guys. If you want to know more about this Moto Guzzi, please log on to motorcyclistonline.com. I think we have a first look preview from this motorcycle when Moto Guzzi released the information last fall. Hop on to cycleworld.com. I believe they have a review of this bike as well there. And please leave us a comment. Let us know if you like this video or not, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, everyone.